Hello, my name is Ahmed Umate. I will be making my presentation today on visualizing hypothesis testing. We will start with the agenda. Um, so today we'll talk about test for mean, comparing two groups, efficiency comparison, correlational test. We'll proceed with the important takeaways and finally conclude with the questions if the class have any questions, and I will be providing the responses. To start with the test for mean, the research question we had was, on average, are the widgets from Acme Widget Company defect free? So in order to test for the mean here, we need to come up with two hypotheses, which are mainly the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. So the null hypothesis will be, on average, the widget from Acme Company are not defect free. And as we know, the alternative hypothesis is the opposite of the null hypothesis. So the alternative hypothesis will be, on average, the widget from Acme Company are defect free. Once we do test for the mean and have the answer, so the graph we have above shows the probability of the defect to the number of defective widgets out of the 100. We'll proceed to comparing two groups. Here, the research question is, does the average major league team have more home run hitters than its corresponding minor league team? Since this is comparison, we're talking about equality. So the null hypothesis will be, the major league team have equal amount of home run hitters with its corresponding minor league. And the alternative hypothesis will be, the major league team have unequal amount of home run hitters with its corresponding minor team. So again, as we can see, the graphs will be the number of home runs plotted against the fraction of teams that are home run hitters. So the blue will be for the major league, and the red will be the minor league. Okay. So next we will move to efficiency comparison. So the research question here is, the efficiency curves of the red and blue teams were recorded. Do the teams have equal mean efficiencies? In this, as we can see, the blue is the number of hours observed, and the red will be the hours. So the null hypothesis will be, the red and the blue teams have equal mean efficiencies, and the alternative hypothesis would be, the red and blue teams have unequal mean unequal mean efficiencies. So we'll move forward to the correlational test. The test goes by, a German study tested how larger industries use vans utilize gasoline. One of their analyses plotted mile per gallon versus the weight of various vans in the study. After plotting this data on a scattered plot, which is shown on the left, so the weight is plotted against miles per US gallon. The researchers performed a correlational test and found a significant correlation. However, they forgot to state their hypothesis test in their published paper. So the question is, what were the study's null and alternative hypotheses? So based on the question and on the test that we're carrying, the null hypothesis will be, there is no correlation between the weight of the van and the amount of miles US per gallon. And the alternative hypothesis should have been, there is correlation between the weight of the van and the amount of miles per US gallon. So after doing this assignment, this exercise, there were some very important lessons which I learned and wants to share with the class. So the first important takeaway would be, in hypothesis testings, we always have two alternatives, as we have seen in the various scenarios. So we have the null hypothesis or the alternative hypothesis, and just as a reminder for me to understand what an alternative hypothesis, I just remind myself that the alternate hypothesis will be the opposite of the null hypothesis. And the second lesson I learned is, the null hypothesis usually shows that there's no difference between the groups and the population. And as we have explained before, the alternate hypothesis will be exactly the opposite. So the alternate hypothesis shows that there is a difference between the two groups and the population. Using visualization, we've seen that throughout the exercise and throughout this problem, we've used various charts, various graphs to represent the information. And the important takeaway from this is that it helped me while building my null and alternate hypothesis. It facilitated me to understand the information that was displayed in the research and how to come up with the null and accept or reject a null hypothesis. And it also, as I said, it helps facilitating whether to accept or reject the null hypothesis that we are testing. So I found this exercise very interesting. Um, so thank you again for watching my PowerPoint show. If you have any other questions, please comment and I'll be more than happy to provide answers. Thank you.